What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We've got a 13 game slate. I've got 5 bets that I want to share with you today. Plus, we'll go through the best hit rates for every single game on the slate, and I'll tell you whether I think it's worth betting or not. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into the bets, we have to recap the last video that we did. It was the Emirates Cup final. Unfortunately, all the bets that I shared with you guys lost. Overall, my VIP went 0.83 units in the negative. Got really close from absolutely killing it, but didn't happen. Let's talk about it. Andre Jackson Jr., we took him with 6.5 PRA. The whole angle for this bet was that he was going to play 20 to 25 minutes. He was only projected for 15 to 17. I expected him to play more time because he was going to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That happened. He played 25 minutes. He had 6 points and rebounds at halftime, and he finished the game that way. 1 from 6 shooting, 0 from 4 from deep. I thought it was a really great read. Just unlucky not to cash this. If he would have made one more bucket, I would have cashed a value play, would have hit his 1 unit play. Would have been excellent. But good bet. Just didn't get the result we wanted. Took SGA over 5.5 rebounds. He had 3 rebounds at halftime. He finished the game with 4. Only played 35 minutes in a blowout loss. The game was low scoring, as I predicted, but OKC absolutely destroyed on the glass. It wasn't the worst bet. SGA went under every single one of his props, but at the same time, it was a bet that I didn't have to take. So probably an opportunity there. For VIP, we did cash a Giannis rebound ladder. 13 rebounds at plus 100, 15 at plus 240, 17 at plus 550. Also bet on him to get 20 rebounds, and he finished on 19. The bastard. But we've got a 13 game slate today. Pretty excited about it. Massive. A whole lot of research gone into it. But before we get to those bets, I have to remind you of the rebet giveaway, as I've been talking about for the last few weeks. Once we hit 100 referrals on rebet, I'll be doing a giveaway, $500 US. 5 people win $100 US each once we hit 100 referrals. We're up to 85. So there's only 15 referrals required before that giveaway goes off. I'm pretty confident we get that before Christmas. Sign up to rebet. Use the code DAFT when you do. Deposit $10, send me an email, and I'll get you into the draw. On top of that, I'll give you a month of my VIP picks for free, so you can try out everything that I'm doing, the different parlays, all the different strategies, the bankroll management, all that stuff. Encourage you guys to try that out. Sign up to rebet, and let's make that thing happen. Now let's get into the bet, shall we? Let's go. So we're jumping into props madness. This is the best tool you're going to find for NBA player props. Just did a video on how myself, Land Your Bets, and Prop Bomb have made over 100 units of profit this season. We all said that this was the best tool. So I encourage you guys to check it out. 7-day free trial if you use the link below, plus 25% of your first month if you use the code DAFT when you sign up. I also have a YouTube video, which is a tutorial on how to use this amazing tool. So I encourage you to check all those things out. But let's talk about our bets for the day. What have I got cooking for you? Now, there's a lot of bets I could have taken, and I've tried my best to be selective, but ultimately, if it looks good, I'm going to take it. Now, the first one, skipping that Hornets Wizards game, that looks like poo-poo, but we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Orlando Magic here, and I feel like I'm going to bet on this guy until these lines move to the point where it's not takeable anymore, but we're going with Goga Bitadze, and we're looking at his rebounds again. Now, I caught his rebounds at 8.5 at terrific odds. The lines, wow, really starting to move quick. There are still 8.5s available, but most likely by the time you're watching this, it's probably at 9.5. So just letting you know, I took it at 8.5, sending out to VIP maybe 7 hours ago. But your probably question is, should you take it at 9.5? And I still think it's a pretty decent look here, right? So for Goga Bitadze, his last game was against New York. He only played 25 minutes. In that game, I bet it is over, but I was imagining him playing at least 30 minutes. Mo Wagner went crazy in that game, scoring like 30-something points off the bench. So Goga didn't see the time I expected. He still cashed his rebound prop. So rebounding amazingly at the moment. You're probably thinking why. The reason why is he's recently entered the starting lineup, and he's doing a great job in this. So why am I taking Goga Bitadze against the Oklahoma City Thunder today? Well, firstly, if we muck around with these filters, let's just set Goga's floor as 25 minutes. Let's just say there's a world where Mo Wagner scores 30 again and impacts Goga's minutes. and Goga only plays 25. Looking at the season, he's over this line in 11 out of 14 games when he plays at least 25 minutes, averaging 10.4 rebounds per game. The fact that he's starting in the other games he's started, he's played 31, 38 minutes. So I think he plays at least 30, but for this to be conservative, we're going to look at 25 plus. If you wanted to know what happens when he plays at least 30 minutes, check this out. When he plays 30 plus minutes, he's over this line in every single game, averaging 13.3 rebounds per game. So if you buy into, yes, he's going to play 30 minutes, then the 9.5, go ahead and take that with confidence. But I do like the look here. Not only does he perform very well when he gets the game time, he's got a pretty decent matchup here against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Second most rebounds allowed in the league. I know Isaiah Hartenstein's been back for a couple of weeks now, but they're still getting destroyed on the glass. And that happened against the Milwaukee Bucks. They got hammered on the glass. And I think someone like Goga can definitely do that as well. Now, Goga also had 9 rebounds the last time he played the Oklahoma City Thunder. And in that game, he only saw 27 minutes. So I think he plays 30. In 27 minutes, he had 9 boards. In the starting lineup now, I think he can cover this line. So for my next bet, we're looking at the Utah Jazz versus the Detroit Pistons. Every man and their dog is on Cade Cunningham assists. It's a good look. I don't mind it. I caught this at 9.5, but that's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to waste your time by talking through that. Another bet that I'm taking in this game correlates well to Cade Cunningham scoring, and it's Malik Beasley. I'm taking his over 17.5 points. Now, Malik Beasley, why do I like him today? Well, one, I think he sees some minutes today. Jaden Ivey's a game time decision, but he's extremely unlikely to play. And check this out. If we just look at the games that he's played without Jaden Ivey this season, 26 and 28 points. Now, I'm not expecting that type of volume. What I do like about this, he played 44 and 41 minutes in the 2 games without Jaden Ivey, albeit one of these games, no Tim Hardaway. Thompson was also out, so Malik Beasley kind of forced into it. I want to be conservative here and say Malik Beasley plays at least 30 minutes in this game. I think that's very reasonable if Jaden Ivey doesn't play. And look at the numbers. When he plays at least 30 minutes, he's over this line in 8 out of 10 games this season, averaging 20.9 points per game. So not only will the opportunity be there, he's got an excellent matchup here against the Utah Jazz. Now, if it's your first time looking and thinking about how the Utah Jazz play defense, the reality is they don't. The Utah Jazz have the worst defensive rating in the league. They also give up the second most points above the break. Now, if you're new to basketball, you're like, what's above the break? It's pretty much this area. It's the 3-point area that is not in the corners. That is an above the break 3. It's a very common spot that teams like to score. This Utah Jazz team, one of the worst teams, the second worst team in terms of points allowed at above the break. Now, if you look at Malik Beasley's shot chart, he scores 49% of his points above the break. So it's a really ideal matchup for him. If we talk about 3-pointers where Malik Beasley gets a lot of buckets, this Jazz team, 3rd most 3-point attempts allowed as well. So obviously Malik Beasley's not going to be the main person on their scouting report. It's going to be Cade Cunningham. How do we slow this down? How do we stop this guy from scoring? And I think that's going to open up some Malik Beasley points, whether it be in transition, whether he's catching it on spot ups and hitting some threes from there. I really like Malik Beasley in this spot, especially if Jaden Ivey is out. So over 17.5 points. If Jaden Ivey is ruled out, I can see this line moving. I think this line should be closer to 20 points if Jaden Ivey is definitely not going to play. But if Jaden Ivey does play, the matchup is still great. He's still going to see 25 to 30 minutes at minimum. So he's still going to have a good chance of cashing this bet. So Malik Beasley, that is the second bet I wanted to share with you guys. The next one, we're heading to the Chicago Bulls versus the Boston Celtics. And the Bulls are playing, and we just need to bet on someone to take advantage of that matchup. Kristaps Porzingis is a game time decision, I believe, for this one. You probably can't go wrong looking at any of these players. I know someone like Peyton Pritchard is probably going to be a popular play in these games where a blowout is likely. Peyton Pritchard should destroy. He scored 29 points against the Bulls last time. He had 7 3-pointers. I get all that. It makes sense. The matchup is nice for Peyton Pritchard. But I thought I'd go with something that felt a little bit more, I don't know. I wouldn't say safe because there's no such thing in sports betting, but maybe I'm just going with something a bit vanilla, and it's not the player. If anything, Peyton Pritchard is probably more vanilla, but I'm just going with Jason Tatum over his rebounds today. That's moved to 9.5. You can still get it at 8.5, which is a bet that I took. Now, why do we like this for Jason Tatum? Well, one, he's got a pretty good hit rate as of late. Check this out. Really rebounding extremely well over the last couple of weeks. The matchup, this Chicago Bulls team give up the third most rebounds to power forwards this season. The Bulls played an extremely high pace, the fastest pace in the league, which means when you're playing fast, you take a lot more shots. And if you're shit like the Bulls, you miss a lot more shots, meaning there's a lot more rebound opportunities. The Chicago Bulls also don't crash the offensive glass very well. So Jason Tatum should get a lot of uncontested rebounds in this game, just like he did the last time he played them on the 30th of November. Finished with 14 rebounds from 18 rebound chances. Now, if we want to play with some props madness filters and get real sexy with it, if we just take a look here, the Chicago Bulls allow the third most rebounds in the league. If we just wanted to look at the games where Jason Tatum plays against teams that allow a lot of rebounds, so let's just say the bottom 10, if we look at the bottom 10 teams in rebounds allowed, we can see that Jason Tatum's over this line in 7 out of 11 games. His last 5 games against these teams that don't rebound, or that a rebound, Tourette's. Last couple games, 5 games to be exact, where Jason Tatum has played teams that allow a lot of rebounds. He's gone over it in 5 consecutive games now. So he had 14 rebounds the last time they played. They only won that game by 12, the Celtics. The spread in this game is 14.5. So if the Bulls cover the spread in this game, I think he cashes his bet easy. But you're probably thinking, what if they don't? What if the Celtics absolutely blow them out, up by 30 at halftime? Is this bet blowout proof? And I really think it is. And last time they played each other, I checked the box scores, watched some film. In that last game against the Bulls, he had 12 rebounds by the end of the third quarter. Like a couple of minutes, he had 7 rebounds at halftime, had 5 rebounds in the third. He could probably cash this bet middle of the third. So in a way, it is somewhat blowout proof based on what we have seen. So Jason Tatum over 8.5 rebounds, definitely a line that I like. If when you're watching this video and it's only a 9.5 that's available, you're probably best just taking Jason Tatum for a double-double. You probably get better odds than just taking his rebounds straight up. But yeah, that's the third play that I like. It's for Jason Tatum. Now, I like Jason Tatum, but I do like this bet. Pumping the brakes real quick because I'm going to ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. 55% of the people who watch this aren't subscribed to the channel, so please do turn them noties on. Trying to get to 20,000 subscribers is the next big milestone for us. This is the fastest growing sports betting YouTube channel on planet Earth. And it probably isn't, but it's going amazingly well. 6,000 to 7,000 subscribers since the start of the NBA season. We are definitely blowing up deluxe, and 20,000 is where I would like to get to. I also ask that you leave me a comment down below for the algorithm. Anything that you say is going to help this video be pushed out to more people. So help your boy out. Drop your comments down below. Tell me what your thoughts are. Do you have a favorite bet? Is there something that I missed? Do you not like my shirt? Do you not like my face? Am I breathing too heavy again? Yes, I read all those comments that I breathe too heavy. You can say anything you want down below. It's going to help this video get out to more people. That's enough of me. Let's talk more about these bets. All right, the next bet that we're going with today takes us to the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. And in this game, I'm going with my man, Ivica Zubac, the big man from the Clippers. I'm looking at it over in his PRA today. I took him at over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. This line has already moved to 28.5 everywhere. So, sheesh, this thing happens quick. But at the same time, I did send this out 6 or 7 hours ago, so it makes sense. But let's talk about it at the 28.5 and see if that impacts my decision making or not. Firstly, he's over this line in 20 out of 27 games this season. Well, he was over the 26.5 in 20. So this one he's over in 18 out of 27. Regardless, the hit rate's still strong, 66.7%. Now, this hit rate improves when we move his minutes to 30. And if you guys heard me talk about the Clippers before, it's quite frustrating because Ty Lue and the Clippers don't play their starters in the fourth if it even smells like a blowout. Whether they're doing the blowing or getting blown, the starters don't play in the fourth. So people like Zubac don't get the minutes that they need to, which can make them very difficult to bet in some cases. But at the same time, it makes it easier to bet because if we find a game where we don't think there's going to be a blowout, then you might find there's an advantage in betting on a lot of these Clippers starters. Like Zubac, for example. Now that we've filtered out games where he's played at least 30 minutes, which is expected when the game's on a blowout, the spread's only 4.5. Luka Doncic is out for the Dallas Mavericks. That brings it in a little bit closer, I think. And when Zubac plays at least 30 minutes, he's over this line in 14 out of 19 games, averaging a points, rebounds, and assists line of 31. Now, in terms of the matchup, it's pretty decent. The Mavs, they are bottom 10 in terms of points allowed in the paint. And as you can see right here, 97% of Zubak's points are scored in the paint. They're also bottom 8 in the league when it comes to defending the post area. And that's where Zubac scores the majority of his points is in the post. Dallas are going to let him play one-on-one with their bigs. So Zubac's going to have some opportunity to score some points here. I honestly think he can cover this PRA line in his points and rebounds alone, provided he gets the minutes. But knowing that Zubac's capable of getting between 2 and 5 assists on any given night, take a look there with the right matchup. I really do like the PRA because his assist line's only at 1.5. I do think he can get 3 to 4 assists in this game. So that's all going to help in the points, rebounds, and assists area. I do like it. At 28.5, would I still take it? Absolutely. At 26.5, we do get a much better hit rate, though. Let's take a look at this. At the line that I took it at, 16 out of 19 games, an 84% hit rate when he plays more than 30 minutes. At 28.5, 14 out of 19, a 73% hit rate. But in competitive games, Zubac will play more than 30 minutes. I'm just looking to see where was a close one. Here, against Denver, they lost by 4. He played 35 minutes. Against Minnesota, he played 34. That wasn't close. Here we go. 3-point game against Golden State, he plays 36. So if this game is as tight as the spread indicates, and we see Zubac play at least 34 minutes, suddenly you're looking at a 10 out of 12 hit rate on this number, a PRA of 33.3 as an average. So this bet is closely correlated to the outcome of this game, and hopefully it's close, hopefully it's tight, hopefully it's entertaining, hopefully Zubac eats. So that's the fourth bet that I wanted to share with you guys. Taking us to the last one, we do have a Daft Previews legend, the Big Purr, Big Zesty. You know who I'm talking about. It's Karl Anthony Towns. And this is probably going to be a popular bet today, and I get it. I'm looking at it over in his rebounds prop. Over 13.5 is available in most books. I bet over 12.5. And if the odds for that aren't great or it's not available, take the 13.5 because I do like it. Really riding the hot hand at the moment. Karl Anthony Towns has been rebounding like an absolute monster. Just look what he's done in the month of December. 19, 15, 16, 15, 19, 22. The man's been going crazy. Now, this matchup he has today is up against his old team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you just looked at numbers, it's a somewhat difficult matchup. But basketball is a lot more than just numbers. There is added motivation sometimes. And I think he's going to be motivated as hell. Drafted by the T-Wolves, spent a long time there. Didn't find any success, and they shipped him off for somebody worse than him. So he's probably got a chip on his shoulder, and I think he rebounds like a beast and maintains that dominant behavior he's been doing as late. Now, just one thing on the matchup. I get that this Minnesota Timberwolves team is a tough matchup for rebounds. But at the same time, so were the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic was supposed to be one of the toughest matchups for Karl Anthony Towns to get rebounds. He played them twice already in December. He had 15 rebounds in the first outing. Then when he played them last time, his line was at about 12.5 or 13.5. Even I was like, oh, that's probably a little bit too high here. The matchup is tough. Maybe the 15 rebounds was an outlier. He backed it up with 22 rebounds in that game. So I don't care how difficult the matchup is for Cat here. I think he sees a high volume of rebound opportunities, rebound chances. He should see some minutes. The spread's only 2.5. The game is close. He's going to be fired up, and I think he gets a whole lot of boards in this one. Now, one thing I've done is I looked at his rebound chances throughout December, and the one thing that he has been getting is a whole lot of rebound chances, averaging 20 rebound chances in that span. Now, if we look at games, and let's just say he plays at his average, he doesn't have to go crazy with it. But let's say he sees at least 20 rebound chances in this game, which I think he does because he plays a lot of minutes. When Karl Anthony Towns has 20 rebound chances or more, he's over this line in every single game. 13 out of 13 games, averaging 16.5 rebounds. So I love it. I like the over here. I got the 12.5, but I'd still take a 13.5 if that's all you can get. I think he sees a lot of game time. I think he's motivated as hell. And I think he gets a whole lot of rebounds today. Karl Anthony Towns. Let's go. Now, those are my 5 bets. Don't you dare go ahead and parlay every single one of them and then hit me up with a comment saying that your one leg cost me, because that's not how sports betting works. I'll say it here, and I'll probably say it again in the future. I'm betting all of these plays straight, and I encourage you to bet them straight as well. If you don't have the option to bet these straight, you bet a 2-man, which means you only pick 2 players, you put those in an entry, and you bet them that way. And if you want to put every single play in there in a parlay, go ahead and do it. But bet 0.25 units. Like, you have to be reasonable here. I do a video like this every single night. And on this NBA season, I've probably had a sweep, what, 4 times? 4 or 5 times. It's been running for 8 weeks, and I've only got 6 sweeps, perhaps. Like, the chances of me getting every single one of these right is unlikely because unpredictable shit happens. My whole strategy is about see a good bet, take a good bet. If it loses or it wins, it doesn't matter provided the bets are right. But if it loses and I find out shit, it was actually a bad bet because I forgot to include something in my research, then I wear that. But don't go ahead and parlay everything together. Let's be smart about it, Kings. I need more money in your pockets, not out of it. Let's go. Before we get into the next part of the video, I wanted to frame it up to say we're gonna go through hit rates today. And I wanted to frame this up because as I go through these hit rates, I'm explaining to you why it could be a good bet, but I'm also explaining to you why you shouldn't bet it. What I've found through the comment section, some people are betting every single one of these and then blaming me for it losing, even though in my explanation, I tell you why you shouldn't bet on it, right? So I wanted to frame that up to say we're going through the players with the best hit rates for these games, meaning their recent form against that number is amazing. I'm going to tell you both why I like it, why I don't like it. I haven't prepared this. I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know how I'm going to react. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up in advance. Be responsible, do your own research, and listen to the things that I'm saying. Don't scroll through the video, see what the bet is, and then bet it. That's not going to work for you. Cool. All right, let's do it. All right, the first one we're looking through is the Hornets versus the Wizards. Now, when it comes to hit rates, there's a couple I want to talk through. The very first one is Bilal Coulibaly, and we're looking at his assists. Now, this came up on my radar when it was at 2.5, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I would, but he has been killing it, seeing a ton of game time, racking up those assists. The line's now at 3.5. The question is, will we take it against the Charlotte Hornets? 13th in terms of assists allowed. I'd consider it. The problem that we need to factor in here is Malcolm Brogdon looks like he's going to be playing in this game. So if we look at the games with Malcolm Brogdon and without Kyle Kuzma, Bilal Coulibaly is over this line in all 3 games, but he's only hit the 4 assists every single time. In terms of assists allowed in these, the matchup's not too bad. He has had more difficult ones and got these assists to come home. Potential assist volumes are low with Jordan Poole and Malcolm Brogdon out there. He's probably not going to see too many opportunities, but I don't hate this bet. I'm not betting it, but I wouldn't tell you not to. His number is 4. The floor is 4. His ceiling looks like it's 4. So 4 looks like a really key number. If you're running your bitch ass parlays, you might want to take something less. But Bilal Coulibaly to go over his assist prop, I don't hate that. The next one is for LaMelo Ball. And LaMelo Ball, we're really looking at his rebounds and assists, or just his rebounds here, because the line's at 4.5. He's catched this in 5 consecutive games. Rebounds and assists, very much the same. 5 consecutive games he's gone over. The matchup against Washington is nice. They allow the 6th most assists. They allow the most rebounds. I think my only hesitation here with LaMelo Ball is how many minutes can we expect him to play? He just came back from injury against Philly. He played 26 minutes in that game. He still managed to have a great one. 11 assists, 5 rebounds. He killed it. Line's at 12.5 here. Can he kill it against Washington? Yes. Could he potentially play more minutes than he played in that game? Yeah, he definitely could as well. But if we're to look at games where he plays, let's just max him out at 30 minutes. When he plays at a maximum of 30 minutes, what do we see? He's had 4 games with a max of 30 minutes, and he's only gone over this once, and that was that last game against Philly. So I wouldn't take this bet because we've only got 1 sample size of LaMelo Ball covering this line in reduced minutes. But again, I'm only assuming the minutes are reduced here. I haven't read any reports about it. If you read a report and there's no minutes restriction, then go ahead. I think this is a really good bet. But I haven't found any numbers on that yet. So that's my thoughts on this game. Let's get to the next one. We've got the OKC Thunder versus the Orlando Magic, and we're looking at a couple of unders here. So the first one is on Contavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP. And if you wanted to bet under in his points prop of 8.5, he's gone under that in 5 consecutive games now, KCP. And life was always going to be difficult for him as soon as Franz Wagner went out injured. How long has it been since Franz? Here. So his last 3 games have been without Franz, and he's struggling to get open looks because Franz, Banchero, they create looks for others. With both of them gone, you're going to rely on Jalen Suggs to create a shot for you? I don't think so. Now he comes into a pretty difficult matchup up against OKC. OKC are the best defensive rating in the league. top 4 in terms of limiting points in transition. They allow the fewest points above the break, which is where Contavious Caldwell-Pope scores a lot of his points. The matchup is somewhat difficult. I think the only risk here, if there was a weak link in this Oklahoma City defense, is that they give up catch and shoot threes in the corner. KCP scoring 21% of his points in the corner. So, if anything, this matchup is probably a little bit better than some of the ones he's had recently. But it's a tough matchup. And given how many games and players are available, do you really want to bet unders today? Like, do you want to be that stressed? Like, look at my hair or my lack of hair. And it wasn't too long ago. I had the greatest comb over you've ever seen. Then I started sports betting like a psychopath. And look what happened to me. So, do you want to put yourself under that much stress betting a KCP under any points? I don't, but you might want to. I don't hate that bet if you choose to take it. The next one is also on an under, and it's under 8.5 points for Wendell Carter Jr. Now, he's gone under this line in 6 consecutive games now. Hates playing in December by the looks of it, only covering this line once. So, what are we seeing here with Wendell Carter Jr.? Well, one, he's playing 20, 26, that he's actually getting some decent minutes, but it really looks like his games without Franz and Banchero struggling in those 3, 6, 8. 2 points against the Knicks. What we're seeing here is that his volume's not very high. That's very recent. Let's take a look at his volume. 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3. So, like, he's probably taking 4 shots in this game. His line is at 8.5. Can he cover 8.5 against a great defense? Like I said, he's got a tough matchup. He's scoring a lot of his points in the pick and roll. He's up against the best pick and roll defense in the league today. Wendell Carter Jr. under 8.5. Something I could probably get with. Some places have it at 7.5. Under 8.5, you can get it pretty decent odds. I honestly don't hate that bet. Like, man, if I'm thinking, how do I play this? Because I don't want to play unders, but I get it. The under for Wendell Carter Jr. makes a ton of sense to me. I do like it. I just don't know if I'm going to take the bet or not, but I think it's an interesting look. The next one is another under, believe it or not, and it's Tristan da Silva. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is a lot of these Orlando Magic players, their lines are lower because of how difficult the matchup is. But for Tristan da Silva, we're looking at an under in his rebounds and assists. Lines at 5.5. He's gone under this in 6 consecutive games now. He's seeing less than 20 minutes in most games. Against the Knicks, he played 32 minutes, but still finished under this line. Now, the OKC team doesn't give up many assists, but they do give up a lot of rebounds. Not a great rebounding team. Tristan da Silva, averaging 3.6 rebounds on the season. His line's at 3.5, so I wouldn't say he's a massive rebounding threat. But 5.5 is a pretty low line, and I get that it's been cashing quite well, but rebounds and assists, there's a place where he gets a rebound, passes it in transition, gets an assist. He can get 2 of those in 30 seconds. So, yeah, I'm not all for that. I definitely lean to the numbers here. I back it. I think he goes under. It's just not a bet that I'd be willing to take. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you want to look for an over with a great hit rate, you got to look at my man, the Dortcher Chamber. Lou Dort, looking at his rebounds and assists. Check that out. He's gone over this in 5 consecutive games. 7, 6, 8, 10, and 9. You need 6 of those suckers to cash here against Orlando. Now, Orlando, pretty good defensive team themselves. Second fewest assists, the fewest rebounds, the 3rd best defensive rating. And Lou Dort only had 4 of these suckers the last time they played. He played 28 minutes in that game, had 3 rebounds and 1 assist. Now, one thing that's really driving these numbers is his rebounds, I believe. He's been rebounding quite well as of late. Let me take a look. Yes, it is all rebounds. If you look at his assists in the last 5, they haven't been great. So this is let's just talk about his rebounds. He's been rebounding insanely well, but he only had 3 rebounds last time against the Orlando Magic. Now, I don't know why that happened. I don't know why he's been rebound. Actually, I do know why. In the last couple of games, they've been cup games. A lot on the line. He's seeing extra minutes. He's versus a pretty good rebounding team, so he's needed support on the boards. And that makes sense. He's versing a good rebounding team today. Maybe Lou Dort's got to help on the rebound. So do we lean to the over? I do, but I'm not taking that bet. I just need a little bit more for it. If you want another under in this game that's been hitting quite well, comes at decent odds. Anthony Black. You want to look at an under in his 3-pointers? Take a look at this. The under is minus 110 on BetMGM, on 365 and ESPN Bet, right? And we're looking at a guy who's gone under his 3-point line in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 consecutive games he's gone without a 3-pointer. which is crazy. And we're getting minus 110 odds here. Up against the OKC team, they allow the 10th most 3-point attempts, though. It's going to be a difficult matchup. And how many attempts is this guy taking? 0 from 1, didn't take one at all, 0 from 3, 0 from 2, 0 from 1. So his volume's not very high. There are some games in here where he doesn't even attempt a 3-pointer. So that's quite interesting. I think the risk here is probably going to play 20 to 30 minutes. So he's going to see some time. So if we look at the filters where he plays between 20 and 30 minutes this season, he's only hit a 3 in 7 out of 21 games. Now, yeah, sometimes I can be a hit rate better if the circumstances make sense. But all right, that's the games between 20 and 30 minutes. But what if we looked at the games between 20 and 30 minutes against teams that allowed 3-point attempts, just like OKC? Let's take a look here. Opponent 3-point attempts allowed. OKC's 20th. So let's look at the bottom 20 teams. So now he's over in 5 out of 13 games. But last time he played OKC, he played 21 minutes, 0 for 5. And I think that might be the risky. OKC's defense is that good. They kind of force you to take a tough 3-point attempt, shot clock running low, whatever it may be. So maybe the risk here is that he could see the volume where he's taking 5 3-pointers. Does he miss every single one? Shit, potentially. But this could be an interesting bet. God, it's going to be painful because he just needs to make 1 3-pointer. You could be winning that bet the whole game, and then in garbage time, he just throws something up and it goes in. But I think that's a good look. Anthony Black, under 1 3-pointer. Risky as hell, but it all makes sense to me. All right, let's jump into the next game. We've got the Jazz versus the Pistons. So, Jazz versus the Pistons, Keontae George. I think a lot of people on Twitter like betting on Keontae George rebounds because that seems like a wagon. Yeah, there it is. His line's at 2.5, minus 140, minus 150 to the over. So the books think he's going to go over 2, but he's now cashed this in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games up against the Pistons. 6 fewest rebounds allowed. Looking at other guards and how they've performed, 9 out of the last 15 guards have gone over their rebound line against them. Yeah, it makes sense, but betting on a point guard to go over his rebounds with no real explanation as to why, except for the fact that he's been doing it lately based on hit rate. I'm not going to bet this, but I get it. A lot of people probably will, and most likely it cashes. I don't know how it cashes, to be honest with you. What are we talking spread here? 4.5. So it means it's not a blowout. So he should get more minutes, you could say. In terms of matchups, Keontae George won't be defending a Cade Cunningham, so that probably helps him get some rebounds too. I don't hate this bet. I do hate the odds for it though. Another interesting bet for you, if you like unders. John Collins and his rebounds. Under 8.5 boards. He's gone under this in 5 consecutive games now. He was rebounding like a beast in this period. And in this period, we were missing Filipowski for most of them, Walker Kessler for 1 game. Now Filipowski? Yeah, Filipowski and Walker Kessler are now back, I believe. They've been back together in the last 3 games. Actually, let's just play with props madness. Let's say games. Who are the rebound threats here for the Utah Jazz? Lauri Markkanen can get some boards. Walker Kessler will get some boards. And Filipowski will get some boards. So, and even Drew Eubanks will get some boards. So these are the games that John Collins has played with those other 3 guys. John Collins under this line in every single one of them. Now, he's also up against the Detroit Pistons, who are now the 6th fewest rebounds in the league. So the matchup's somewhat difficult. Maybe I can see an angle here. But looking at the minutes, we're seeing about 24 minutes played. How many minutes has he been playing lately? Let's check this out. 38, 35, and 23. So he's still going to log heavy minutes though. So when they all play, he doesn't seem to log that many, but maybe we just got a bit too specific with it. Let's go Lauri, Kessler, Filipowski. I think that's their main rotation in their front court. So yeah, he's over this line in 1 out of 8 games, averaging 6.4 boards. More recently, yes, he has been playing the minutes, hasn't been getting the rebound opportunities. Now, if we think about who this man's going to be defending, maybe that could give us an insight. It could be a Tobias Harris that he defends, actually. So does that help him or make it more difficult to get boards? I do not know. But based on the data that I'm seeing, John Collins under 8.5 rebounds. Honestly, I don't hate that look. The odds for it, probably not the best, but some places have it at minus 120. So that could be really interesting. Caesars has it at minus 117 right now, which is just unbelievable. So John Collins under 8.5 rebounds. I won't hate you if you take that bet. Next, we have the Nets versus the Raptors. There's only one player with 100% hit rate over their last 5. And we're looking at Ben Simmons, and we're looking at under 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Actually, it's under 23.5, which is available in some places. But he's actually under this in 17 out of 20 games. Between you and I like the over for Ben Simmons' points, rebounds, and assists. So we might as well talk about that. So what we're looking at here is this Brooklyn Nets team. Cam Thomas is injured. Dennis Schroeder is out. They traded him for D'Anthony Melton, who is injured, so he's not going to be playing. So Ben Simmons is going to see a lot more game time and a lot more opportunity. He's had one game in these scenarios. He played 31 minutes, which is a season high, against the Cleveland Cavaliers, had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, finished with 22 points, rebounds, and assists in a difficult matchup. Now he's up against the Raptors, who are much easier. He's actually got a good matchup to score, even though he doesn't want to. He's got a good matchup to get some assists on. They play at a reasonably fast pace, so there could be more stats to go around. I actually like Ben Simmons over here if he plays more than 30 minutes. I wonder if he played more than 30 minutes in many games last season. Let's take a look. Last season, when he played over 30 minutes, he was over this line in 2 out of 5. But he looked crippled last season. He does look a little bit better this year. So for Ben Simmons, I wouldn't take his under with any confidence given the changes within the team. Also, he's got a softer matchup in this one, but he's the only player in this game who's got a great hit rate over his last 5. So let's jump into the next one. I want to look at the Brooklyn Nets, not the Brooklyn Nets, the Chicago Bulls versus the Boston Celtics. And there's only one player that stands out here, and it's Ayo Dosunmu. Now, for Ayo, we're looking at his assists. Now, he's cashed this 4.5 assist line in 7 consecutive games. He's finished on 5 assists 5 times. So, tough matchup here against the Boston Celtics. But in saying that, he did have 5 assists the last time he played the Boston Celtics, and there were no outs. I think at the moment, Josh Giddey is a game-time decision. If Josh Giddey is out for this one, I would assume his assists go up. Yet to play a game without Josh Giddey. What about last season? Josh Giddey wasn't even on the team. So that is irrelevant. But we can look at Fantasy Labs, break down the data to see what the uptick in his assist rate is. So this is Fantasy Labs. Fantasy Labs, you can play with on and off numbers to see how players perform depending on who's off the court. So if we were to look at Josh Giddey and try to see how does Dosunmu play? So his assist percentage goes up by 3.9. So it's minor. Zach LaVine actually goes up quite a bit, so that could be a look. But at the same time, we don't know if Josh Giddey is definitely out or not. He's a game time decision. Dosunmu has been able to hit this, but if we take a look at who's been missing, Zach LaVine was out for this game. Vucevic out for this game. Everyone was suited up there and there and there. Actually, Kobe White was out for a couple of games. So, yeah, I think he can get to 5 for sure against Boston. It makes sense. But last time he only just hit 5. And that game should have been a blowout, and it wasn't. So I couldn't take Ayo Dosunmu over his assist with any confidence, despite how good that hit rate is. But yeah, that's the only one with a great hit rate in this game. Let's get to the Warriors versus the Grizzlies. So there's no one with a 100% hit rate in this game, believe it or not. So can't do that type of segment. But I was actually curious to see, is Ja Morant a game time decision in this one? What do we got? He is. Ja Morant's a game time decision. Marcus Smart is out. So I guess to give you some ideas, I didn't bring up any players in the Warriors versus the Grizzlies when it came to my bets. And purely the reason was Dennis Schroeder's just joined the Warriors team. So he's scheduled to play in this one. I don't know how that's going to impact everybody else. So you'd be shooting in the dark trying to say who's going to go over or under because Dennis Schroeder's joined the team. I don't know how it's going to impact rotations, lineup, minutes, and all those types of things. So no bets on the Warriors players. For this Grizzlies team, I think a lot of people are going to be liking Jarrett Jackson Jr. I don't like him, But Zach Edey's recently come back too, and that's really thrown off a lot of the numbers. So that's a game where I just want to sit back, wait, see how things play out. I might bet on them in the future, but nothing from me on that Warriors versus the Grizz. Then we've got the Pelicans versus the Rockets. Now let's talk about it. We've got a couple of juicy hit rates going on over here. First one is on Trey Murphy. Looking at his points prop, over 15.5. He's cashed this in 5 consecutive games now. In those games, there's been no Zion, no Hawkins. Zion's obviously been out the whole time. His last 3 games have been no Zion and no Brandon Ingram. So definitely seeing the volume, definitely getting some court time as well. So his minutes are up there. Now, I was up against the Houston Rockets today. 15.5 seems low at first glance. Zion's still out. Ingram's still out. Hawkins is a game time decision. So I don't think his opportunities change. Let's talk about the matchup. Tough. Spot up shooters. This Houston Rockets team allow the second fewest. Above the break 3, they're top 5. Defensive rating, they are top 2. 3-point attempts, top 2 as well. So Trey Murphy's got a tough matchup. Now, looking at the games he's played recently, has he had difficult matchups? He has. He's played OKC, which is a tough matchup, but not for spot up shooters, I guess. San Antonio and Phoenix, tough matchups on the spot up shooting. When it comes to above the break 3s, OKC was a tough matchup and he made it happen. The problem here is that he's up against the Rockets, who are tough all around for him in all ways. And he probably goes over because of volume. But knowing the matchup is difficult, I'd probably stay away from it. Not saying to bet the under. But if you do want to look at an under, you got to look at Alperen Şengün here because his lines are pretty high. But his lines are high for a reason. Looking at his rebound line, it's at 11.5. He's under this in 5 consecutive games. Played against the Kings. That's a tough matchup. Played against the Warriors twice, and that's a pretty easy matchup. The Clippers is a tough matchup where he finished on 10. OKC, it's actually a pretty easy matchup too, and he only finished on 11. Is up against the Pelicans today. That's a really easy matchup. They give up the 4th most rebounds in the league. OKC gives up the 2nd most rebounds, and the Warriors give up the 6th most rebounds. So he's had some pretty easy matchups, but he hasn't got the boards. But these Pelicans, really soft on the inside. At 11.5, I would lean to the under for sure. But like I said with the other unders, why would you take an under and stress yourself out on a day like this? But if you had to get a bet down, an under and Alperen Şengün could be something I'd be willing to mess around with, but I'm not that desperate for it right now. Let's talk about the Hawks versus the Spurs. Who we're going to see here? We might see what's his name? A Hunter play, perhaps. He's been pretty consistent, depending on what his line is, that is. All right, let's look at the first one. We've got the Frenchmen coming up against each other. We've got Risa Shea. And for Risa Shea, if you look at his under in his rebounds and assists, you're going to find here that he's gone under this in 6 consecutive games now. Lines at 4.5, up against the Spurs. It's his first time playing the Spurs, so no head-to-head data. His minutes, they've come down, especially with all the players that they have. Trae Young is a game-time decision, though, so that might open up some more time for him, perhaps. But, yeah, I don't have many bets in this game, I've got to be honest with you, and I don't think I'm willing to add this. It makes sense. If Trae Young is playing and this guy's going to play less than 20 minutes, if there's a risk. But at the same time, the 2 games where he played less than 20 minutes were the Elimination Cup games against the Knicks and the Bucks. This is just a regular season game. They can work on his development, all that type of bullshit. So he might get up to 25 minutes again, 25 to 30, and he could start cashing this number. So I'm not down for that. And another under with a great hit rate is for Harrison Barnes. And we're looking at his under in his rebounds and assists. Under 5.5 is under this in 6 consecutive games. Soft matchup, though. The Hawks bottom 10 in both rebounds allowed and assists allowed. Harrison Barnes, what's he doing? He's still playing about 30-plus minutes a night. So that's a little bit risky. If we wanted to think about who's Harrison Barnes going to be defending in this game, Harrison Barnes playing the 3/4 role these days. But with Sohan back, he'll probably be locked into the 3. So Harrison Barnes is going to be defending some shooters in this one. It's going to be a Risa Shea. It's going to be a DeAndre Hunter, maybe a bit of Bogdanovic time. So he's probably going to find himself on the perimeter. The rebounds might be difficult for him to come by. Looking at his boards, yeah, most of this line is actually just rebounds. His assist line's at 1.5. Rebounds and assists at 5.5. But if you just looked at the boards, he hasn't gotten close to 4.5 rebounds in quite some time. I know that the Atlanta Hawks give up some rebounds. That's the only concern because they play so fast. But yeah, an under for Harrison Barnes rebounds, that could be something I can get down with. I wouldn't hate that bet. Given that we're talking about rebounds, you've got to look at Trae Young. Look at his rebounds. Line's at 3.5. He's cashed this in like 7 or 8 consecutive games now, which is pretty wild. The odds to the over is not too bad. They're probably playable odds, I would say. Rebounding extremely well, but I can't explain why. Obviously, these 2 games are cup games. He saw 36 and 40 minutes. So the minutes are high. Spread's only 2 in this game, so he probably sees a ton of minutes as well. But Trae Young getting a lot of loose rebounds from a lot of 3-pointers. Maybe if we just look at rebounds allowed by position. I'm taking a look now to see where the Spurs rank. And the Spurs, actually one of the worst teams, 5th fewest rebounds to point guards in the last 15 games, if you buy into that sort of stuff. But yeah, the hit rate on it is good. I'm not telling you to bet the over or the under on Trae Young. Yeah, I'm just going to stay away from that one. The next one is for Jalen Johnson. Now, Jalen Johnson, everyone bets he's over on something, right? If you're looking at hit rates, you can bet the under 1.5 3-pointers made. He's gone under this in 5 consecutive games. Odds, the best odds you're going to find are minus 125 at DraftKings, which is so much better than everybody else. Going under in 5 straight, and it makes sense. He's been playing with a couple of injuries, so I think that's going to impact him. He was 1 from 5 against the Knicks, 0 from 4 against the Bucks, so the volume is still going to be there. He probably takes 3 to 4 shots. This Spurs team, 10th fewest 3-point attempts allowed. They're actually pretty decent at defending spot-up shooting as well. Jalen Johnson's not going to shoot 3-pointers off the dribble, that's for sure. So, yeah, I can get behind this. Under 1.5 for Jalen Johnson, I like that. I just don't like the odds that I would have to play it at. But if you have access to DraftKings, Jalen Johnson under his 3-pointers made prop, I think is a really interesting look. Now, the next one is on DeAndre Hunter. So DeAndre Hunter, if you want the perfect hit rate, you got to look at his points, rebounds, and assists. But you got to be able to catch it at 23.5. And that's only available on ESPN Bet. He's gone over this in 6 consecutive games now, but he's been getting pretty close to it as of late. His matchup isn't ideal. A lot of people are probably betting his over in points in this game just because the hit rate on it's been really good. I'm not down for that. I'm going to stay away from DeAndre Hunter. I'm staying away from this whole game, if I'm being honest with you. It smells stinky. I don't like betting on the Spurs. I like betting on the Hawks, but I don't like betting on the Hawks against the Spurs. All those matchups seem really weird. The things that people are good at have got a tough matchup on. So I'm passing on that. The next one we have is the Clippers versus the Mavericks. So really keen to see this game. Let's talk about what's hitting and what's not. We've got to go with Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving, no Luka in this game, so naturally Kyrie's lines are inflated. Looking at his rebounds and assists, he under 11.5. He's gone under that in 5 consecutive games. But I think the only thing that matters are the games without Luka. So without Luka, he's actually over this line in 4 out of 6, which is pretty wild. He's been rebounding very well. The assists, that could catch your attention. 7.5 assists against the Clippers team. That doesn't allow many assists. 7.5 could be a tough one. The only over here was against the Utah Jazz, and they allow a ton of assists. So 3rd most assists in the league. Yeah, 7th fewest for the Clippers. Minus 154. Damn, the odds for this suck. But minus 140 and Bet365, I could take. This play makes a whole lot of sense to me to take the under for Kyrie Irving assists, 7.5. So he's under in 5 out of the 6 games without Luka this season, and his matchup's not great here. I think, and I know I shouldn't do this, it's not the smartest thing, but I might be willing to take Kyrie under 7.5 assists, over 3 assists, and maybe get some decent odds. Let me check that out right now. All right, I'm back. And yes, I'm holding a baby. But the show must go on. Kyrie Irving, under 7.5 assists. I looked at it. If you add plus 3 assists, the odds only get a little bit better. But if you add 5 assists and under 7.5 assists, you're getting plus 120. I don't know if I could get there or not. But I like the under 7.5 assists for Kyrie Irving in this matchup without Luka Doncic. That is for sure. So that could be something I entertain. Maybe I just bet a little bit more in it. Let's stop being a coward about these things. But Kyrie's the only one with a perfect hit rate against his number in the last 5 in this game. So we'll jump into the next one. We're talking about the Indiana Pacers versus the Phoenix Suns. see what we can find in this. And there's quite a few in here. And one of them is Obi Toppin. Now, Obi Toppin, I'm absolutely loving his bet. But Obi Toppin's been cashing all of his lines in the last 5 games. And it purely comes down to minutes. You can see it right here. Since December started, he's over his line, his points line in every single game, over his assist line in 5 straight games, over his rebound line in like 90% of those games. So for Obi Toppin, you could just look at his PRA perhaps, look at his points, whatever it may be. And I think for this one, it comes down to minutes. If you think he's going to play more than 20 minutes, this bet is going to cash. I personally think he plays more than 20 minutes, so I don't mind his over here, 10.5 points. Yeah, definitely. I'd consider taking that if I was you guys, because I'm going to put that bet on. But outside of Obi Toppin, a player that you haven't probably thought about is Tyus Jones. Check this out. He's over his points prop in 7 consecutive games. I wanted to bet it last time, but then I was like, oh, Kevin Durant just came back. But even in the 2 games with KD back in the lineup, Tyus Jones scored 19 points in both of those games. So now he's up against the Pacers. Matchup-wise, it's not too bad. They're pretty bad against the spot-up shooters. Tyus Jones, that's his main area where he's scoring points from. In terms of above-the-break threes, though, the Indiana Pacers are pretty good at limiting points above the break, but at the same time, Tyus Jones has killed them. If we take a look at similar players versus the Pacers, Kobe White, Jaden Ivey, Bridges, Ivey again, 4 out of the 5 times they played, they've gone over their line. So Tyus Jones might be something I can muck around with. The concern here is that in all of these games where he's been off, it's been either Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal have been out of the game. And I think both of them are going to be playing here. So if we look at his games with KD, Booker, and Beal, he's only over this line in 4 out of 10. So this is how I would play it. If Bradley Beal is confirmed out for this game, then Tyus Jones over his points prop, I think, is a great look. If Bradley Beal is in, I probably wouldn't play it. All right, we're heading into the next game. It's the Knicks versus the Timberwolves, and we've got quite a few looks here with a 100% hit rate. So we're going to go with the Iron Man first. Looking at Mikal Bridges, over 14.5 points. Check out their hit rate. Hit rate bettors rejoice. 7 consecutive games, Mikal Bridges has gone over this line. Up against Minnesota today, tough matchup. He's a spot-up shooter. The Timberwolves, 4th fewest points of spot-up shooting. He likes to score in the restricted area. The Timberwolves, 9th fewest points in the restricted area. They've got the 4th best defensive rating. He likes to score in transition. They're good at that too. This matchup is difficult as hell for Mikal Bridges. Now, that's probably why we're seeing a lower line here. He's at about 16.5 the line. It's been reduced to 14.5 given the matchup, so that's all taken into account. Yeah, I'm not saying bet the under here because he can definitely hit this number. I just know it's going to be difficult. So that's Mikal Bridges. Another under you could look at is on Julius Randle. And we're looking at under in his PRA. Check out that. He's gone under his PRA now in 7 consecutive games. The question here is, up against his old team, the New York Knicks. Now, Julius Randle, somewhat difficult matchup for him to score some points here. The Knicks, 2nd fewest rebounds allowed. They play at a very slow pace as well, so it's tough to get stats in. I think it all comes down to whether you buy into this whole revenge game narrative against a player's old team. So if you think Julius Randle's going to be fired up for this one, you probably want to avoid this. But if you don't give a shit about that and you just want to back it by numbers, the numbers say that Julius Randle's going to go under his points, rebounds, and assist line. Me, I don't want to bet any unders today, so I'm just going to try to stay away from that. I might bet the Kyrie under, not going to lie. But this one, I don't have many interest in tailing it. But then the other one is for Karl-Anthony Towns. I've already spoken to you guys about his rebounds, but his points and rebounds have been cashing like crazy too. 5 straight games he's hit the over. When it comes to scoring, his matchup's not too bad, actually. So I don't mind this look. He scores a lot in the pick and roll. This Minnesota team give up the 8th most points to the pick and roll man. So an over in Karl-Anthony Towns points and rebounds, I like it, but I'm already playing the rebounds for Cat. So I'll pass on that. If you want to look at an under, you got Naz Reid, who's been playing awful as of late. Under in 5 straight games. Line's at 10.5. Up against the Knicks today, and he's got a tough matchup. Naz Reid scores as a spot-up shooter. He scores above the break threes. The Knicks, top 10 in both of those categories. So the matchup's going to be somewhat difficult, I would say. Yeah, I'd lean to the under here for Naz Reid. I'd have to support the hit rate players on this. Naz Reid, I don't like his matchup, and I don't like his recent form. So that could be a good look for you guys. Outside of that, those are the main players in this game. We're flying through this one. That's a lie. My throat is actually killing me, but we got to do it for the lads. We got the Lakers versus Sacramento Kings. Now, see what hit rates we can find in this one. First one, DeMar DeRozan. Looking at an under in his rebounds and assists in this one. He's hit the under 7.5, or it's 8.5 on DraftKings. 7.5 in some places. Either way, under in 5 consecutive games. And I wonder what's the reason here. It could be he's starting to go under since Malik Monk's back in the starting lineup. These are his games with Malik Monk this season. 6 out of 18 games he's hit the over here, so definitely trending towards the under. Malik Monk started to play heavy minutes, I believe, late December. Let me just check Malik Monk real quick. Malik Monk started to hit the lineup in late November. My bad. So from the 28th of November onwards. So DeMar DeRozan, we're talking about this game against this game against the Spurs. So since Malik Monk hit the starting lineup, DeMar DeRozan's gone under this line in 5 out of 7 games. So this DeMar DeRozan look isn't too bad. It makes sense to me. Fucking hell, child. Children drive you crazy sometimes, you know? They stop crying when they have their dummy. They love it, this pacifier, but they spit it out all the time and get upset about it. Like, what's up with that? Anyway, you settle your ass down, boy. We're almost done here. DeMar DeRozan, rebounds and assists. He's up against the Lakers, though. The Lakers give up the 5th most assists and the 8th most rebounds. Their defensive rating sucks. So this matchup to take an under for DeMar, probably not the best. But he's played some teams that give up a lot of assists, and he hasn't dimed up like crazy. Played some teams that give up a lot of rebounds. Like this Pelicans team, they're shit at everything, like the Lakers. And he still went under in that one. Might be game enough to take the under here. Because he played the Lakers earlier this season. He only finished that. He played 37 minutes, got 0 rebounds, and he finished with 3 assists. So DeMar DeRozan under his rebounds and assists line might be something I'm willing to take as well. So I'll look at DeMar. I don't mind Kyrie. So they're 2 unders that I don't want to take, but I want to take, if that makes sense. Let's see what else we can find in this game. And it's De'Aaron Fox. Under in his 3-pointers made prop. Under 2.5. Under this in 5 consecutive games. Up against the Lakers, 10th fewest in terms of 3 points allowed. They do, however, they're pretty average when it comes to defending the perimeter. So De'Aaron Fox, what's the volume been like? 2 out of 7 in his last game. 1 from 6, 1 from 5, 2 from 7. Last time he played the Lakers, he hit 3 out of 10. So, yeah, probably a sweaty bet to take someone with such a high usage rate and an under. The matchup isn't difficult enough for me to take that one. So I'm going to pass on that one. But that's the only ones in this game. What else do we have in terms of hit rates? Nuggets versus Blazers. Last game on the slate. Give me something juicy to talk about here. Nuggets versus the Blazers. And we only have one. And we're talking about Michael Porter Jr. today. We're looking at his rebounds plus assists. And there is something going on here. So, Michael Porter Jr. lines at 7.5 for his rebounds plus assists. It's juiced to the gills, but he's hit this in 21 out of 24 games this season. This is just ridiculous. He's averaging 10 rebounds and assists per game. They set the line at 7.5. That seems really strange to me. In terms of who's in and out, Christian Braun's a game time decision, but they're pretty much running with a similar team that they have been as of late. His rebounds and assist line is so low. I feel like that's silly. Like, even if you took this, so you could probably get this at 8.5 for plus money. And at 8.5, he still hit this in 20 out of 24 games. So this is a real funky spot. I don't know if there's news about Michael Porter Jr. I don't know if he's got it under a potential injury cloud. I'm checking RotoWire now, and there's nothing on Michael Porter Jr. So that is real interesting. So going on what we know, I definitely lean to the over here for Michael Porter Jr. That's weird. So I might take that as a bet once I try to figure out what the hell's going on here. If I can get an 8.5 and everything looks sweet, and we get an 8.5 at plus money, I'm going to be taking that for sure. But yeah, for hit rate players, rejoice. The matchup's nice. This Blazers team, 7th most assists, 7th most rebound, 6th worst defensive rating,
There is a blowout risk here. Line's at 8.5. But yeah, they've had blowouts in the past, and MPJ still got it done. He got it done here against the Clippers. Only played 29 minutes. So what if we were to say games with less than 30 minutes played? He's only done that 3 times. And he's only hit this in 1 out of the 3. So it could be that, which is driving the line down. So the only games where MPJ doesn't cash seem to be the ones where he doesn't get the minutes, which is in a blowout. But do the Nuggets get another blowout win? I don't know. Yeah. So MPJ over rebounds and assists is real interesting. His rebound line's at 5.5, which is super low. I think a lot of people are going to be betting that, even though it's juiced to the max. His assist line at 1.5 is very low, but that's very juiced. So I get it. You get 2 likely plays, you put them together, then you get an extremely likely play juiced to the max. So MPJ over his rebounds and assists, I think that cashes for sure. You just got to be able to find the right odds for it. That's all. Or I hate to say it, you might want to add more legs to it, but I know it's a stupid thing to do. It's so stupid, but yet we all do it. I still do it. I've done it with a couple of bets that I already have for today. So this is a great hit rate. But that's a wrap on today's video. I got to take care of this guy. But best of luck to you all. Be sure to join the Rebet giveaway. Sign up to Rebet. Use the code DARF. Deposit $10. Send me an email. I'll get you into the draw to win $100. And you'll get a month of my VIP picks for free. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help your boy get to 20,000 subscribers. And be sure to drop some comments down below. Help this algorithm push it out to more people. I hope we all green out tomorrow, lads. And I hope our bets hit too. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.